One last time. Hey guys, welcome to episode 3 of Hot Trades the podcast with Rob and Blaze.
Where we're just gonna keep it simple today.
That intro is fire, Rob. I like that a lot.
I
That
love it.
that intro was done by Rob's brother, by the way, and there will be a description a link in the description to his YouTube channel already.
Yep.
So in this episode, like Rob mentioned, we're going to keep it simple. We'll talk about keeping it, keep it stupid simple. Most of the time when people come to the market, I hear this quite a lot, and Rob does as well. People say, like, I'm overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed. There's a lot to talk about, and there really is. Right? We had a call last night in Discord, and we talked in the span of an hour. We talked about so many different strategies, right? So, when you join the market, your goal at the beginning should be kind of trying to find what works for you. There's so many ways you could go, right? You might be an investor, you might be a trader, you might be a scalper, you might be an option player, right? Your job in the beginning is to keep it really simple and try one thing at a time, right? So again, try investing. If that works for you, amazing. Keep doing that, right? If you love scalping because maybe your schedule allows you to scalp, right? Keep doing that. So there's so many ways to go when it comes to the market, and your one job is to figure out what works for you based on potentially your personality. And again, Rob will talk about all of this stuff, right? So finding your niche in the market and sticking to that, and trying not to complicate things too much. Alrighty, so that's what we're going to talk about today. Rob, how's you ready to keep it stupid simple?
Yes, sir.
Let's go.
So I would say the first thing we have to, or what we wanted to mention about that is it's fine. Study and study, but okay. So study
Mhm.
and study, but all right. Keep studying your technical analysis, which is important.
Yep.
Study all the strategies that you want. I know that there's people that are, you start one thing and then they jump to the other. And I noticed that, like, it happened to me. And
Mhm.
sometimes we kind of like sin in the way of telling traders, like new traders, just don't, black out all the noise. Don't jump from one thing to another. You know what? If you're starting, I might just say, yeah, study everything you want, until you find your style, right? Because
Mhm.
there's a trading strategy, there's a trading personality out there that you have. Yes, there's a trading personality, believe it or not, the same way, and it's very similar to your personality, right?
Mhm.
So, and we're going to talk about different ideas or different strategies that exist,
Mhm.
and you're going to see which one fits. You have to see which one fits for you. There's some strategies that are super fast, which is scalping.
Mhm.
You have your swing trading, you have your day trading, you have your just long-term investing. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So there's so many different strategies and techniques to make money. The great thing is that there are many, and you just find the one that fits your personality. So definitely take your time in the beginning. Um, Focus on finding that. Focus on learning the different styles, right?
Mhm.
So let's give an example, Blaze. When they get into hot trades,
Yep.
sometimes they're expecting to find like a template where they're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4 and just continue, and there is none because everyone's different, right? That's why you have different channels.
Mhm.
That's why you have an options channel, you have a futures channel,
Yep.
you have like long-term swings,
Yep.
mid cap,
Yep.
large cap, small cap, like a micro cap. There's so many different things. So
Mhm.
I would say, when you get into a hot trades or any, any group, a trading group or
Yep.
trading floor, like you're gonna have all these things and go one by one. I guess you explained that better, Blaze. Every time people get in, like, go in there, check out the
Yeah.
channels, right? Like,
Yeah.
what do you think?
Yeah, exactly. It's almost like when you go to uni, like, or college or anything like that, right? There's that initial year sometimes for people where, like, you're studying like the entire thing, right? Like you're potentially, you might want to become, like, like in the medical field or something, right? So you're not quite sure which group you fit in, right? And you're trying to study the entire umbrella, right? So, and then as the years go on, as time goes on, you pick a very specific thing because that's what you find that you're succeeding in, right? And then you tunnel vision and you study that and you become successful with that, right? So, it's almost like, I think there's a stat somewhere, Rob, that like I'm thinking of this stat now, but most of the time, the issue with like new people in the market is they're way too aggressive too quickly. You get in the market, you see everybody else making money, you're like, oh, this is easy,
Yes.
I want to do it, right? But then and then by the time you're finding your footing, you're finding your strategy, you've lost so much money where like it really doesn't matter. It almost doesn't matter anymore, right? So we tell this to people all the time, like, take your time, like take your time,
Paper trade.
as little as possible in the beginning as you're learning. So by the time you figure out like who you are in the market, you're potentially killing it and you still have your monies to play with. Right? You haven't lost like 90% of your accounts because you're YOLOing and like you're not quite sure what to do, right? And then again, so once you figure that out, and then yeah, you can kind of be a bit more aggressive, but at least you have like kind of a successful template, right? So we talk about like, hey, like like start small and paper trade, right? Start small, paper trade, find like practice, 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 right? And then move on,
That
right?
was fire. We're done. That's it. Podcast over. No, that was fire. It's true. I mean, that
Yeah.
was so amazing. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
we see it all the time.
Mhm.
And futures trading, we see it. We have some what I call them high rollers. People that have
Mhm.
really big accounts and they're
Mhm.
making big money on smaller moves. And
Mhm.
it's it draws you in. You get like sucked in. You're like, wow, I can make $1,000. They see you see the possibility, which is good.
Yep.
You want to see the possibilities, but
Mhm.
you also don't want it to suck you in all at at
Yep.
once, because those are people that are there because they've done it for a while, and they
Exactly.
reached a certain point and they were the same place you were at some point, right? So
Exactly.
definitely, I think as we put here, seems like noise in the beginning, but find
Yep.
your personality, which will be your edge. I think that's a
Mhm.
key there. Your
Mhm.
personality is going to be your edge in the market because
Yep.
once you find that strategy, which we're going to show,
Mhm.
let's say, just simple strategies. Let's say, I mean, I'll just say one.
Mhm.
Like me, I'm a supply demand. So
Mhm.
a simple strategy would be when price hits a supply zone, I'm going to
Mhm.
go long, right? It's not that simple, but you know what I mean. I'm just saying. At least I
Mhm.
already have. Now I already took out all the noise. I'm not
Yep.
waiting for this. I'm not waiting for that. I'm not. I'm just focused on one thing and one thing only. Like you mentioned, tunnel vision. That's great because I'm just
Yep.
focused on that one thing we
Yep.
were talking about earlier. I love the scene in Superman where
Mhm.
he's still getting his abilities, or he's learning about his abilities, and
Mhm.
he starts hearing everyone like
Mhm.
far away. He hear all these people, and he's hearing like so many things, and he's like going crazy. That's
Mhm.
exactly how it is for a new trader. And then all of a sudden, things start tuning out, tuning out, tuning. He starts tuning everything out, and bam, he just hears that
Mhm.
one person like 3 miles away or something. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? And
Yep.
that's exactly how it is for us. Like we're hearing all this noise, bro. You're hearing Blaze, you're hearing Robert, you're hearing new traders, older traders. You got your Dans of the world, which are amazing options players. You got Lynn, you got all these people, and then all of a sudden they come in, and you're hearing, oh wow, that's great, and then all of a sudden like, okay, wait a minute, you know what? I'm gonna stop hearing even them, and I'm going to focus on one thing, and I'm going to
Mhm.
focus on this, and I'm going to jump to the other. No, that's not for me. Jump to the next one.
Mhm.
That's not for me. Jump to the
Yep.
next one. That's not for me. And while you're doing that, like you said, paper trade. Like,
Mhm.
okay, so that's our next thing. So we put all this study, but right. So
Mhm.
we're telling you, yes, take in the noise a bit. Understand that there's a lot going on, and you have to figure it out. But
Mhm.
then keep it stupid simple, right? Which is once the noise dies down, focus on those one or two strategies that fit your personality and keep at
Mhm.
it. And what
Yep.
you were saying, that's why I said you kind of like summed it all up. Back test, paper trade, back test, paper trade. Paper
Mhm.
trade is you're protecting your
Yep.
money, as we say
Yep.
in our trades, as base
Yeah.
protecting your monies.
Yep.
But back testing is you're studying, you're going
Mhm.
back in the chart, you're seeing how many times when this strategy about the strategy, nine over the price over the 9 EMA, the price crossing the 200,
Mhm.
price entering a supply zone, entering the demand zone, the
Mhm.
cross of the 20 with the 50, the 20 with the 100, whatever strategy it is,
Yep.
rejection of the VWAP.
Mhm.
Um, Once you find the strategy that fits you, and even also adding on time frames, because time frames, you're going to have the same strategy, which is
Mhm.
going to be quicker, or it's
Yep.
going to be longer, right? It's going to be
Exactly.
longer. You got to fit the one that fits your strategy. But once you find it, oh, I like this. Now go back into the chart and go back test it and back
Yep.
test it. Back. How many times does it occur? It
Yep.
occurs three times maybe in a day or two times a day. I like that because it's
Mhm.
slow. It fits my pace. I'm working. I put an alert. I set the alert when it alerts. I get back into the chart. I verify everything looks good. I'm going.
Yep.
Then you have your others that are super fast. I want to just scalp. I want to do 3 or 4 trades a day, and I'm
Yep.
out. You know what
Yep.
I mean? And
Exactly.
and have my percentages that I have focus on. I want 20, 30%. I think Dan mentioned that. I think it was Dan that said, was it Dan or Josh? He said in their options trading, they
Hmm.
focus on making 20 to 30%. I think it might have been Josh. He says
Yeah.
20 to 30% because Dan is a criminal. He'll get like 100.
Yeah.
He gets 100, 200%. But
Yes.
but but Josh, I think was the type. I think I saw that he was the type where he just gets his 20, 30% on a bigger account, and he just
Hmm.
rinse repeat 20, 30. He's very safe,
Yeah.
but it's consistent. You see what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So it's
Exactly.
here, back test, paper trade, back test, paper trade, and you will get consistent. And consistency is
Exactly.
the key. That's
Exactly.
when things are gonna start, like, you're gonna start tuning out everything. Even if
Yeah.
you're hearing Blaze all day on the thing, you have me. If you're in a futures channel, you're gonna see me commenting like crazy, like I'm the in futures channel. I'm Blaze, but just
Yeah.
adding. I'm just like typing away. I'm
Yep.
not talking, but I'm like commenting. And sometimes I even tell people I'm sorry, and they tell me no, keep it up because we wanna
Yep.
see your mindset behind it.
Hmm.
So, in the options channel, you're gonna have so many people, sending stuff, and it's all gonna go away because you're
Hmm.
focused on one thing. You see, when you're
Exactly.
focused on that one thing, everything else goes away. Now you
Exactly.
could jump a little bit, like me. Like lately, I'm thinking about maybe getting into some longer options for like monthly options or something
Yep.
like that. To
Hmm.
make a month and have something running. So I
Hmm.
can get that monthly income coming in through some options plays.
Yep.
Some credit spreads or something, or
Yep.
some spreads. So
Hmm.
that's another thing, right? But then it doesn't remove my focus of what I normally do. You see,
Yep.
but it's something else that you can add.
Yep.
So I think hopefully this will help people out. It's just taking that out, taking that noise out, like you mentioned. I think if anyone is listening to this podcast, you go back to the beginning where Blaze started talking. He sums it up amazingly. Like,
Yep.
you
Yep.
summed it up perfectly.
Yeah. I think it's, like, as interesting that you mentioned, like, like people like potentially working and then like going to futures, because we've seen a lot of members do that,
Mm,
right? So like
yeah,
like I've seen people come into the community and really struggle with like the day trading. Why? Because there's so many stocks to look at. You're jumping
that's
from
right.
this stock to that stock to this stock. And then you go visit Rob in the futures channel, and he says, "Come on, take a deep breath in, namaste, relax."
I'm gonna wait.
Right? And you're focused on one or two names, and you're really focused on doing technical analysis. And
That's
I've
it.
seen quite a few people succeed.
Yeah.
That's because they're really busy. They can't jump from this name to that name, right? You have people that are just not patient, Rob. Like some people cannot like swing a name for 2 weeks. Right. Some
Um,
people don't want to hold the name and wait and wait and wait and wait. Right. That, like Rob mentioned, personality. Rob has a point. Go
no,
ahead,
no,
Rob. Yeah.
that you just hit it. The
Mhm.
person that's cannot wait for those
Mhm.
2 weeks, that's not their style. That's not their personality.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
then they know, I can't do this
Exactly.
because it's just too. I'm like waiting. I have money held up. I don't like it. So that's
Exactly.
you see, that's where they're gonna start realizing this is
Yeah.
not for me. Next, and you try
Exactly.
something else.
Exactly. And then you have people that, like, maybe are just not comfortable with like some of these, like the penny stocks or the mid cap names or the
Mm-hmm.
crazy names. They want to rely on the Teslas and the Apples, right? They
Yeah.
don't want to scalp that. They maybe want to hold that long term, right? Because they believe in the company, right? That's just stuff, and that's another like personality trait, right? Some people just don't want to deal with like the emotional like volatility of like, of the stock market. They just want to hold something that they believe is reliable and make money, right? So, again, all of this kind of ties in with technical analysis, but like really understanding like who you are, right? And then moving that into the market is really, really important, right? So, we can kind of talk about a few strategies as well that, again, if we just pull up this one example, right? So let's take a look at this chart, right? Again, we had this conversation in Discord last night. If I'm looking at this, right, someone may look at this and say, you know what, I like to buy off the 200. If a stock is bouncing off the 200, it might be on a 1 minute time frame. Again, like Rob mentioned this earlier, you have to kind of look at the time frame too that you're comfortable with, right? Some people want to look at the daily, the 4 hour, the 15 minute, right? Again, depending on, like, what's your, again, yeah, right? So again, like, some people want to focus on the 1 minute and scalp, right? And all of this applies, like bouncing off the 200, for example, right? If you look at this, you can see the stock bounce off the 200 once, and you're like, you know what, I like that it's bouncing. That's my strategy, right? I like that it's bouncing again off the white line. That's the 200 EMA. I like that. Look at that. Again, right? It's done that 3 times already. That's my strategy. Some people just look for breakouts, right? Some people look at breakouts and say, you know what, that's resistance, right? This was resistance. We've double topped, right? It looks like we're sitting there the third time. If that stock breaks out, that's my strategy, right? And then boom skis, right? Some people just like to look at this and say, you know what, I'm gonna wait for the 9 EMA to cross, right? Like the blue line here, right? If you look at that blue line at the bottom, some people say, you know what, like I'm gonna wait for that stock to cross back above the blue line, or I'm gonna wait for it to get back above the 20, or I'm gonna wait for above the VWAP, right? I'm gonna wait for above the kernel. Rob mentioned earlier, right? He said he's waiting for that demand zone, right? Again, you have this demand zone, right? He might just look at this and say, you know what? I'm waiting for that stock to hit a green zone at the bottom because that's the demand zone. That's my strategy, right? And then we're bouncing up the demand zone and it's going, right? So, there's so many things you could be looking at. The most important thing is, again, taking your time, right? And, like Rob says, Rob loves this saying, like, look to the left, right? Look to the left, right? Again, look at these different time frames, look to the left hand side, and test your strategy, right? If I go to the left hand side on this specific time frame, how much bouncing do we have? Like, how reliable is this if I go back to the past, right? So again, testing, start small, take your time, right? Consistency, like you're gonna hear like me say this a lot, Rob say this a lot, like consistency is key. And if you want to do this for a long time, you might as well take the time and practice and start small. Find a really good consistent strategy, something that you can rely on, right? I say this quite a bit too. Like, if you succeed in the market, it should not be based on luck. Like, I got successful because, like, I got lucky, right? So it should be based on, again, luck is always going to be a part of this, right? So hope, luck, there's always that element of it. But you almost want to, like, be lucky based on something that, like, how there's a saying, Rob, something breeds, like, preparation breeds luck or something like that. I don't know what the saying is,
What
but
pro, the proper
preparation,
preparation,
yeah, yeah,
proper
something,
preparation, proper preparation.
yeah,
Yeah,
like,
I know what you're saying. Yeah,
yeah, it's an interesting saying,
it is.
right?
It is.
So yeah, again, like, just like a minute of looking at this chart, you can see that there's five different strategies already you could be using, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's something that we teach a lot in the community, right?
Yeah, and I think a root cause of all this as well is for what you were mentioning, like going in, using real money, like feeling like you're missing out,
Hmm.
like this. You're not missing out. You are not missing out if you're not trading. Let's say you're paper trading for a month, 3 months, six
Hmm.
months, 1 year. You're not missing out. You know why? Because the opportunity of making money in the market is so amazing
Hmm.
that literally you're gonna make what you would have made in 6 months. You can make it in a month. You
Yep.
can make it in 3 months. If you're consistent, right?
Yep. Yep.
So you're not missing out at all. Whoever's thinking like when they're seeing everyone making money, or the market just dropped, or the market just went like skyrocket up, and you're like, oh my god, I'm missing out. You're not missing out. It's happened to me.
Yep.
At first, I was paper trading for a long time,
Hmm.
and I mean for like about a month, 2 months, and then I got caught up in the hype, and I would just, I had money already on deck waiting, and I
Hmm.
would get in and lose, and I'm like, oh Jesus, and then I
Hmm.
lose again. I'm like, oh wait a minute, this can't, wait, and then I was still hearing a lot of noise, right? So I was like, I was jumping from options, then I would jump into like penny stocks, and then I would jump into like this, and I will go all over the place. You know what I mean? And then in options alone, there's so many strategies in options. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Just and I was like trying different things, but with real money. And then I said, wait, I gotta stop this. I gotta stop this. And then when I started to make money, I said, wait a minute, like I realized, yes, it's kind of like what I mentioned the last time that you mentioned a lot. Um, you're not there's always going to be another trade,
Yep.
and because the market is always moving like that, you're not going to be missing out. There's always going to be a time where the market is going to be trending up. There's going
Yep.
to be a time where the market is going to be retracing. There's going to be a time where the market's going to be going sideways. And it
Exactly.
happens constantly. Just go into a chart, a monthly chart, a
Yep.
yearly chart, and just look at what it does. It's doing the same thing over and over again.
Yep.
And so you're not missing out. I think if you're going to leave this as well and you're still have a lot of noise, you're still hearing noise, zoom out, take your time, learn, and you're not missing out. You're
Yep.
actually protecting yourself. So when it's time to when you see that you're making consistent consistent paper trades, the next time you're gonna do a trade, I think I mentioned it's like almost like muscle memory, right?
Yep.
You start seeing things and they come automatically to you. I noticed this pattern. I noticed it's doing
Mhm.
this, doing that, and you
Mhm.
keep doing it all the time correctly. Next time you do it with real money, it's gonna be like any other trade. It's gonna
Yep.
be like simple. It's just like even I would say also don't think about the money. Think about consistency, the wins. How
Yep.
many positive wins? Because that's going to equal to gains.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying? But if you're
Yep.
looking constantly at your P&L,
Yep.
you're gonna get screwed. It's gonna psychologically screw you. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So you
Yeah.
got. I've seen people now changing the trading view instead of
Mhm.
giving them the P&L, it gives them ticks. So they're like,
Mm.
I want 10, 15 ticks, I'm done.
Yep.
And then 10, 15, I'm done. 10,
Yep.
15, I'm done. 10,
Yep.
15, I'm done. And they're getting like 3 points, 4 points consistently. And they're not even realizing that that's adding up to how much. You see what I'm
Yep.
saying? So then
Exactly.
when they start doing it, it's gonna reflect on your P&L.
Yeah.
Consistency
Yep.
equals P&L.
That's
Consistency equals P&L.
I like that. That's very good, actually. I think like when you look at that money, something changes. Like it's almost like you ignore everything else and you just focus on the fact that like this is I worked hard for this money. I worked hard for this money. Like I can't lose it, right? And that's a really good point because I think that's the problem with like most people is like I think we had this conversation last week about like people not wanting to lose at all, like that feeling of I don't want to. I don't want. It doesn't matter if it's $100, if it's $1, if it's a
Yeah.
$1,000. I don't want to lose anything, right? So, but if you put that aside and you focus on, it's hard to like. It's easier said than done. But if you can put that aside, and then maybe you're focusing on like a strategy, right? And then you're a bit more successful, consistent, right? Like Rob said earlier, like you can look at this chart for Tesla. This is the daily for Tesla. You can see Tesla going up for multiple weeks, right? And you're like, oh my goodness, Rob, I'm missing out. Tesla's going to
Mhm.
the moon, right? I'm
And then
missing
you
out.
go
But
into
then all of
retracing.
a sudden, like it's crashing for multiple months as well, right? And you're like, oh wow, what's happening, right? And then we go up again, and then we crash again. So like Rob, there's always opportunity, right? So
Always.
you
I think
don't,
that's what makes the market so amazing.
yeah, yeah,
After you realize that, you say to yourself, "Oh my God, like, all right, I missed it. I'll just wait a bit and then I'm gonna make." But I know. So now you're like,
yep,
"Oh, like once Apple reaches again like 130, 160, one, those levels that you draw out, then you're just
yeah,
waiting. Just like
yeah,
waiting there. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And you get
exactly.
excited because you know it's gonna get there again. And when it gets there again, it's gonna
Mhm.
bounce again. Why? Because you know that a Tesla and Apple is very it's a very liquid stack. They're very profitable companies. They're very, so those are the ones that you really believe in, and right. So you're just
Mhm.
waiting, boom, and then you do it. So definitely, I think you had mentioned. I think it was you that mentioned you have to. It's about it's not much about your winners. It's more about like how do you lose? Like how good do you
Mm.
lose? I think was
Yeah,
that
I
you
think
that said that? Yeah,
yeah,
I
I
think
think
that
we
was
have
great.
I
Yeah,
think there's a little screenshot here, this one,
the whole
right?
secret to winning big in stock
Yeah,
market. Mm,
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, the whole secret to winning in the stock market is not to be right all the time, but to lose the least amount possible when you're wrong.
that's right. Amazing.
Yeah,
Beautiful. Yep.
I like that quote. Wherever I got
I
it
love
from,
it.
I like
I
it.
love
Yeah.
it. Yeah, and it is, and that's what's gonna. So if you see, it's almost like the way you lose,
Hmm.
the lesser amount that you lose
Hmm.
in the market is allowing you to live longer, right? To
Yeah.
do better.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, going back to like the topic of keeping it simple. So it's just that, it's taking out the noise. Noise exists,
Hmm.
definitely.
Yep.
And the noise is a requirement to be a
Yep.
trader. It's a requirement. You need to
Yep.
get it all, like Blaze explained beautifully. It's like going to college, to university. You're going to get all these liberal arts classes. You're going to get all these other, sciences that you're going to get if you're going to be a doctor. And then, you have biology, you have all these other ones. And then you like decide, okay, this is where I really feel comfortable at. So then
Hmm.
you focus on that, you know.
Hmm.
That was, I
Hmm.
think, was a great analogy. So I think that's that, and I think the same thing. Let's keep the podcast simple, you
Yep.
know. Um, we just have to like focus on
Yeah.
understanding that, not going to, Blaze gave some great examples on the, how when price hits a supply zone, bounces off that 90 EMA, continues writing. That's one
Yep.
strategy, and is a great strategy, and that's the
Yep.
one that is like the most consistent as well, I would say, because price follows the 90 EMA. The 90 EMA is a shorter time, is a long shorter period,
Hmm.
so that price is always going to be following that 90 EMA. That's why it's such um, a great in the a great moving average indicator to know when price is either crossing and changing a
Yep.
shorter time change in momentum. You
Hmm.
know, so
Yep.
there's so many strategies out there, and you're going to see them all with us. You're going to see them all because there's a bit of everything in hot trades. So
Yep.
when you get in hot trades, don't get overwhelmed. Oh my God, I got in here, and
Yep.
it's like all these channels. What do I do? Well, you guys should get a little better at this or that. It's not that. It's that we cannot we cannot give you and no one can give you like this unless you're just gonna follow someone
Hmm.
exactly what they do, and then that, I mean, even that can work too. You know what I mean? I'd
Yep.
rather you find your personality, and I think even if you follow, like, let's say if you trade like me, and then you might say, oh, it's kind of like frustrating, like you wait too long, like you're a little too patient, you know what I
Yep.
mean? I just saw two opportunities I could have got in and out. Then
Yep.
that's definitely not your personality. Like
Yep.
me, I'll have people go in three times into a play
Hmm.
in futures channel, and I'm still waiting, guys. I'm
Yep.
still waiting, guys,
Yep.
and I'm pretty sure they're in their heads like, why is Rob still waiting? You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because I got
Yep.
that bigger move in mind or something, or I'm
Yeah.
trying to
Exactly.
test certain things. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
there's the days where I just have my mind focused on scalping, or something. Oh, that's
Exactly.
another thing.
Yep.
Once you tune out the noise,
Hmm.
the great thing is that you don't lose all that, Blaze. You don't lose
Yep.
any of that, because that's where confluence comes in. That's when you
Hmm.
start bringing all these other little things into play, and you start saying, well, if the 90 does this, and I have the supply zone, and I learned this, and I learned that, and I learned that, like I said, you look left, I looked left, I said, so now you start adding all these little things together
Yeah.
to go to go align with your strategy. So
Exactly.
you just pick what you need. It's kind of like
Exactly.
what I say with the indicator. The indicator is like that,
Yep.
like and when I created Bull Bear, it was to just be able to find an edge in the market. That's my edge. My edge
Yep.
is the indicator, because I use it. It's not like, so. Oh my God, how do I explain this? Like the the indicator is not magic.
Yep.
It's the tools I need for what I've learned to put it in place. See what I'm saying?
Hmm. Hmm.
So I can have three levels in my chart of MACDs, RSIs, stochastic, all these like, and then my chart is like this small, and then I have all these others underneath. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
looking at those lines where they're crossing. But then I created like a simple thing that tells me when the MACD is green or red, when this and that, and then so all that is what creates my edge, because that's what I'm looking at. You see,
Hmm.
that's what takes away the noise for me.
Hmm.
So when I look at it, now I know what. And that's why I added. So then when I started adding more things, it wasn't really to create more. It was more for other types of traders.
Yeah.
There's those traders that trade with the nine, because I think I only had before like the nine and
The 9
the nine and the something, and then
and the 20. Yeah.
I added. I think I added because of you, the 9, the 20, the 50, the 100, the 200. I added all those other ones.
Yeah.
We started adding more things, when I talked to you about, and it made a lot of sense. And then you can pick and choose, you pick what fits your
Exactly.
personality. It's a toolbox, you know what
Exactly.
I mean? And
Exactly.
you open it, you pick what I want to set up like this. I want only the 9, I want the kernel, I want the 200 EMA just to watch it where it
Yep.
is,
Hmm.
blah, blah, blah. And then,
Yep.
so, and that's my edge, because
Yep.
it's not because the indicator is magic. It's because it's the same thing that I use to make a decision in my trade.
Yep.
That's all it is. You see what I'm
Yep.
saying? So
Mm-hmm.
that's all the indicator should be. It should be, you should know what you want to do. You should know what you're looking for. And then
Mm-hmm.
that should just be a tool to help you. All
Yep.
market makers, all traders, what is it? It's an algorithm that's running. It's a system. It's a software. But
Mm-hmm.
they're the ones putting in. So they know the market. They want to, when people say I'm pricing in. I think we're going a little too far now, but just real quick.
Yep.
When you're looking at, other news, and they're pricing in bad news. What does that mean? Pricing in bad news. That means that they're just telling the algorithm, okay, it's time to start lowering price. So we got to pick up that liquidity that's further down,
Mm-hmm.
because people are not willing to buy up here anymore. I'm not willing to buy, the JP Morgans, the black, they're not willing to buy at this price anymore. So now we got to take it down,
Mm-hmm.
to prices where it's more conducive for the market, right? So
Mm-hmm.
when the good news comes, because if not, the market will just continue to go up and it will be crazy. You know what I mean? So there's got to be a balance.
Yep.
So it's that. It's just, finding that, and then it's a system. What is it doing? It's a computer that's doing it, right? It's doing
Mm-hmm.
it based on your analysis, based on the analysis that the market makers want. So the
Exactly.
same thing that we have to do. We have a way
Exactly.
of learning. We learned what took away the noise. Now we use whatever we want to use, say whatever indicator or no indicator, whatever. You use it to focus on, on gaining your edge. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So
Exactly.
yeah.
And you made a really good point too, about like when you come down to like tunnel vision, you're not exactly losing everything else. What you're focused on will give you more confidence, right? So like, Rob just mentioned that like one of his favorite strategies is looking for the demand zone, right? So that would be the green zone at the bottom. So like if Rob is looking at potentially this area for an entry, he's waiting and waiting and waiting, and that stock is crashing down to that level. This is the daily on Tesla, by the way, right? So this potentially becomes a long-term swing, like a more just a longer swing, right? So if he's waiting for this level, well, it doesn't necessarily mean because he's not paying attention, he might not be looking at like the kernel or the 9 or the 20. It doesn't mean that doesn't come into play, right? It just means, again, like when you focus on one thing, it like whatever else you add to that list of like what you're focusing on brings you more success. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it should,
It
right? So
makes
like,
total sense. It makes total
okay.
sense. And I'll give you an example. A
Hmm.
swing low like this on a daily, a swing
Hmm.
low is
Hmm.
an amazing setup. You know why?
Yeah.
Because it's reaching an extent, it's overextended, right?
Hmm.
It's reaching a new low. Or it's reaching an equal low, like a
Hmm.
swing low that it was before. That's why
Hmm.
those areas are areas of liquidity, is where
Yeah.
usually price turns again.
Yeah.
So there, I'm kind of like, it's like you said, on a longer time frame, I'm kind of like, I'm not, I might look at all those other things just
Hmm.
for my entry,
Yep.
but I already have a mindset of I'm going long at some point, because
Exactly.
I'm at a low. I'm at a
Ex-
low. So now it's up from here, unless
exactly.
it just crashes down. But that's why I have a stop loss. You see, so now I
Exactly.
mitigate my risk, and now
Hmm.
I'm feeling great. Because
Hmm.
now I found my new opportunity in the market. We were just
Mm. Okay.
I just found my new opportunity.
Yeah.
You know what I
I,
mean?
I
And
think
if you
that's how
miss
I did
it,
it.
you wait again till it
Yeah.
reaches another area like that again. You see?
Exactly. Exactly. I think that tied it in perfectly. Again, like you have that strategy, so then you can focus. Then you can say, okay, this is the level I was waiting for. This is what I want to do. And now anything else that happens after this just brings me more confidence. I know I'm going in at some point, right? So, and that's perfect. Alrighty. So again, let us know what your personality. Leave a comment in the comment section. Let us know what your personality is. Like, what do you like to do more, right? And like, how did you get to that? Maybe, right? Just let us leave a one word comment, right? I'm an investor, a day trader, a scalper, an option player, right? Let us know what you think, and let us know what you think about the whole podcast. And again, like if you have a topic you would like us to cover next, maybe also leave that in the comments. Rob, any last comments on keeping it simple in the market?
No, I mean you have us here. You have friends in hot trades. If you need help understanding, swimming through that noise, and understanding it, then let us
Mhm.
know as well. Let us know as well. Yeah, there
Yeah.
is. I do recognize there's a lot of noise. For some reason, it's not going away. I'm still confused. And let us know. Blaze has those one-on-ones. People
Mhm.
talk to me all the time. They chat to me and all that. So, we're here. And if we could find someone also in the Discord that has a lot of experience that can help you understand,
Mhm.
maybe it's just understanding what your personality is. It's almost like a checklist. Like I'm a patient person.
Mhm.
I'm an introvert or an extrovert. All those little things like
Mhm.
that. You know what I mean? And those things are gonna tie into how your personality is gonna be in the market.
That's very good. I like that. Alrighty, and yeah, let us know. Rob, it's been fun, and I'll catch you on the next episode, episode 4. Bye,
Yes, sir.
guys.
Take care.